Recording. Okay, thank you so much. And now I'm going to pass it to our language access announcement and interpreter to kind of walk us through what folks should expect if you need language access support. So I will pass it to Brenda.
Buenas tardes, yo soy Brenda, la intérprete, y para acceder al idioma en español, lo único que necesitamos es que seleccionen los controles de la reunión en el seminario, haga clic en interpretación, seleccione el idioma deseado, ya sea inglés o español, y para escuchar solo el idioma interpretado, haga clic en silenciar el audio original.
Okay, thank you so much, Brenda. And for folks that want to opt into the Spanish room, just go ahead and click that interpretation globe at the bottom banner and select your English preference. And with that, I will kick us off with roll call for tonight's meeting. So this is just like normal, but since it's a virtual meeting, just let me know, just come off and say here once I call your name. So let's see, Nancy Aguirre.
Here.
Thank you, Nancy. Luna Angulo Castro. Okay, well, Mark is absent. Ianad Burrell.
Here.
Thanks, Ianad. Marisol Cantu. Well, Mark is absent for right now. Sandra Castaneda.
Here.
Thank you. Suzanne Coffey.
Here.
Thank you. Sean Cotton.
Here.
Thank you. Beverly Dines. Mark is absent. Brianna Gastelum.
Here.
Thank you. Michelle Gomez Garcia. Mark is absent. Martha Guerrero.
Here.
Thank you. Carrie Guerin.
Here.
Thank you. Lisbeth Ibarra. Jeffrey Kilbreth. Mark is absent. Joseph Kosinski.
Here.
Thank you. Dr. Omoni Omotoso.
Present.
Thank you. Jessica Range.
Here.
Thank you. Simran Sandhu. Mark is absent. Dave Sabri.
Here.
Oh, thanks, Dave. If I can change that. Darabu Shankunte.
Present.
Thank you. Samir Shrestha.
Here.
Thank you. Althea Skinner.
Present.
Thank you. Emily Warming.
Here.
Thanks. BK White.
Here.
Thank you. And then Ariel Shi.
Here.
Thank you, Ariel. And that wraps up roll call. I know we typically ask folks if you come in a little late to enter their name into the chat. So Air District staff will be monitoring for that for any folks that have come after roll call. Since we are in a fully virtual setting, just a couple of gentle, quick reminders. We're just going to ask that participants make sure to keep their mics muted when they're not speaking. And if you would like to speak, just please go ahead and use the raise hand function so folks can call on you. And then, since it's a virtual setting, we do want to encourage people to turn on their video if possible, but no worries if you can't. And then just a quick reminder that for tonight's meeting, we'll be using roll call voting for all action items. And we only have one for tonight. It's the approval of the June and July meeting minutes. And then with that, I will go ahead and pass it to Dr. Omotoso, our facilitator tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 47th Path to Clean Air Community Steering Committee meeting. Excited to see everyone. Kind of feeling inspired after last month's Just Transition workshop. And so looking forward to our discussions tonight as we discuss what we've done in year one and what we're looking forward to as we go ahead. We have a new Air District staff that is in our space tonight, so I'd like him to introduce himself before we get started. This is Dennis Quart.
Oh, evening, everybody. Yeah, my name is Dennis Quach. I am a air quality specialist in the Compliance and Enforcement Division. I'll be giving you all tonight a presentation on the program that we are developing called the Targeted Inspection Program. So I'm really looking forward to giving you an overview of what this program is about, and just talking about when this program is going to get implemented. So thank you for having me here tonight.
Thanks, Dennis, for joining us. Next slide, please. Before we move on, I also wanted to mention that one of our CSC members has stepped down for personal reasons, Heidi Swillinger. And so we'd like to thank her for all the service she's provided over the years to the CSC and the work we've been doing. Carissa, we share the links to the thank you card if you haven't had a chance to do that, so we can present this to her virtually soon. So we want to commend her for all the work she's put into the CSC over the past few years. And then now move on to the agenda for today. Next slide, please. So we just went over the welcome meeting logistics and agenda. We'll discuss some of the logistics in a moment. And then we'll move on to approve the meeting minutes for both the June 23rd CSC meeting and then the July 28th Just Transition Workshop. Afterwards, we'll have a CSC liaison report out from the different working groups that we have. And then we'll move into breakout activity to kind of reflect on the year one implementation process. So the focus on this breakout is more on the process of how we did things in year one, rather than the actual outcomes itself. And then after that, we will have a presentation by the Air District on the implementation accomplishments in terms of what has happened so far based on the Path to Clean plan. And then we'll take a short break before coming back to hearing from the compliance and enforcement about the targeted inspection program. They have some updates for us and also would like our feedback. So we'll have a large group discussion about that afterwards. We'll talk about next steps and then take public comment on non-agenda items before we close out the meeting. Next slide, please. So just a quick reminder, today we're meeting all virtually. So as much as possible, please make sure you've muted your mic when you're not speaking. As a facilitator, I'll be calling out everyone when they have a turn to speak. So otherwise, please have your mics muted. Also, make sure you use the raise hand function when you want to speak. And just start with your name in case people can't see you. But we'll try and pin you once we call you forward to speak as much as possible. And we're also going to be using a timer just to make sure that everyone has enough time to provide their comment and Air District staff to answer as well. And so I will be kind of facilitating and calling on people to speak or respond to the questions. So you don't have to worry about punting to other people. And just be patient. If there are issues with the tech, just message us in the chat if possible, and we'll see what we can do to fix it. And so for the CSC members attending tonight, we kind of expect everyone to have reviewed all the materials beforehand, including the pre-read and the slide deck for today's meeting. And please be as engaged as possible. We'll try as much, with time permitting, to kind of encourage quieter members to speak up. And it's helpful, if you have your cameras on too as well for the panelists during this time. And if there are lots of people wanting to provide comment, then we'll definitely go the progressive stack approach to ensure that we're getting everyone's voice and we're remaining inclusive. Okay. And then the only action item for tonight is the meeting minutes for the past 2 months. And so I'll need a CSC member at that point to motion for it and another member for a second motion before we move to a vote or roll call. Next slide. So the goals is 1, approve the meeting minutes for both June and also the July 28th workshop. The second is to get a report from our liaisons from the refinery communities by monthly meeting group, the refinery technical working group, and also Rule 1118. And then the third goal is getting a brief overview of the implementation plan. And then afterwards, we'll go into breakout activities in 2 groups virtually to kind of discuss our reflections on the process and the processes we've used this past year. and what worked well, what were areas of growth, and what didn't work so well. And then after that, we will have a goal to have a presentation from your district on the accomplishments, and then discuss kind of an enlarged group based on that information and give feedback on what things we should add to it or are missing for it or make it more complete. And then the fifth goal is to receive the update presentation on the compliance and enforcement targeted inspection program, and also have a group discussion and provide feedback to them as well as they take next steps. Next slide. I'll pass this to Laura to give us a kind of look back on the year.
Thank you. So we're in August, everyone. We're in the second half of this graphic. So as promised, the goal today is to reflect on year one, and you'll also be getting that targeted inspection program update. For September next month, we're going to be coming to you with the year one annual report. And then in October, the idea is that we can discuss year two implementation so that in December, that can get finalized. And then we're also looking at the potential for a draft just transition vision plan for December. So that's kind of the outlook for the rest of the year. Just flagging that we are skipping November. I can pass it back for the next slide to Dr. Omotoso.
Thank you, Laura, for the update on our agenda for the fall. Okay. And so I hope CSC members have had a chance to review the meeting minutes for both June 23rd and then the July 28th public workshop on just transition that we held. Next slide. Are there any CSC comments or questions about the meeting minutes from the past two meetings?
I just want to jump in. Where are the minutes located? I wasn't able to find them.
It should be in the email that was sent with invitation. It has all the links for the pre-reads, the minutes, as well as the slide deck.
Okay, I'll look again. I just couldn't find the minutes in there, but it doesn't mean they're not there. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Any comments about the meeting minutes? And can you let me know if any hands are raised? Okay, otherwise we'll move to if there are any public comments. Next slide. Any public comments?
Dr. O, I don't see any hands on the public comment side.
Okay. Okay. And if someone could also, if you don't mind, put in the link into the minutes for the CSC, just so they can take a look at it. In the meantime, we will move on. Okay. So I need a motion from the CSC for us to approve the meeting minutes for both June 23rd and July 28th.
I so move the minutes forward.
Thank you, Nancy. I need a second.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Martha.
Martha?
Yeah. Carissa, could we get a roll call vote to approve the meeting minutes?
So just go ahead and vote. You can vote yes, you can vote no, or you can abstain for voting to approve the June and July meeting minutes. So Nancy Aguirre?
Yes.
Thank you. Luna Angulo Castro, I believe is still absent. Okay. Ian Burrell?
Yes.
Thank you. Marisol Cantu?
Yes.
Thank you. Suzanne Coffey?
I will abstain.
Sean Cotton?
Yes.
Thank you. Beverly Dines?
Yes.
Thank you. Brianna Gastelum?
Yes.
Thank you. Michelle Gomez Garcia?
Yes.
Thank you. Martha Gruel?
Yes.
Thank you. Carrie Guerin?
Yes on June, abstain on July.
Okay, let me make a note of that. They are being voted on together, so
Then
I
I'll
actually,
abstain from both. Thanks.
okay. Lisbeth Ibarra, I believe is absent. So Jeffrey Kilbreth. Jeff, are you still there? Okay, I can come back to you, Jeff, or if you want to put in the chat if your audio is not working. Joseph Kaczynski,
Yes.
thank you. Dr. Omoni Omotoso,
Yes.
thank you. Jessica Range,
Abstain.
okay. Simran Sandhu, still absent. Dave Severy,
Yes.
thank you. Darabu Shakunte, okay, let me see. I thought I saw Darabu join.
Yeah, I was here. My system is not working for some reason.
Oh, no worries. Do you vote yes, no, or do
I
you want to?
said yes.
Yes. Okay. Samir Shrestha,
Yes.
thank you. Althea Skinner
Abstain.
and Ariel Shi.
Yes.
Okay. And let's see. Okay, with that, the minutes do pass for both June and July. So I'll hand it back to you, Dr. Matoso.
Thank you very much. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're gonna have CSC liaisons report out from the different working groups. Next slide. So we have the Refinery Communities Bi-Monthly Meeting Group, and I believe BK is gonna present on this. So I'll pass it on to BK.
Thank you, Dr. Omotoso. We met August the 19th at the Refinery Communities Bi-Monthly meeting, and our agenda was we introduced the Path to Clean Air. This group of people, we come from all different community aspects, being around refineries. So we thought it was important for Lisbeth to let the group know all the work that's been put in by the Path to Clean Air group, 617. So we gave a presentation, a slide that went through all aspects of PTCA. But for the refinery community, we told them that we would be focusing, bringing stuff to them around fuel refining, support facilities, storage and distribution, marine and rail, public health, and reducing exposures. But for this presentation, we just opened it up, told them all aspects of what we worked on. When we finished our report, we had Sandy Crockett, General Counsel for the legal office, come in, and Sandy spoke of the Air District's penalty assessment process. And Sandy broke it down to the steps. First steps were determine the appropriate penalty range. And, the range is going from no emissions, negligent emissions, known emission failures to remedy, willful intention emissions. And he also mentions that the triple for emission violations at major facilities as of January 1st, 2025. Once the correct or appropriate penalty range was established and the monies went anywhere from $0 to $94,125 per day per violation, there would be a max increase for death or great bodily injury. But he said that was hard to prove. They would always fight whether deaths were a result or great bodily injury through one of the releases. The second step was to apply the penalty adjustment factors. And they were the extent of the harm caused by the violation, the nature and persistence of the violation, the length of time for which the violation occurs, the frequency of past violations, the record of maintenance, the unproven or innovative nature of the control equipment, and any actions to mitigate the violation, financial burden on the defendant. We didn't get a chance to get into that. I wanted to delve into that, but Lisbeth and I gave such a comprehensive presentation. We ate up a lot of time, but that was one I found very interesting, the financial burden to the defendant.
Yeah. Thanks.
And,
oh, BK, I was just trying to remind you of time.
Okay,
In
I'm
terms of
going to
the
wrap up
next
here.
steps. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Oh, am I out of time? And any other relevant stuff. The one thing I did find interesting, we did talk about Valero and how they, for 30 years they were underreporting. Being an operator, they said they were unaware that their hydrogen wasn't pure, and I find that to be laughable, because the dirtier your hydrogen gets, there's a change in reaction. You know what's going in, you're sampling for it. But I will stop there.
Thank you very much, BK. And I know the next meeting will be in October.
I think October 21st.
Okay. And are you presenting at that meeting too? Is that
Yeah.
right?
So we'll present back on where we are on the implementation. So whatever I learned or gleaned from this meeting, I'll present there.
Thank you very much, BK.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. And now we have the Refining Technical Working Group, and I believe Carrie is going to be presenting.
Thank you, Dr. Rowe. Hello, everybody. Carrie Guerin, she, her, CSC member, and along with Jeff, one of the two Refinery Technical Working Group liaisons here from the CSC. So back in June, we had our first kickoff meeting with the group. It was Jeff and myself, some Air District staff, 3 folks from different labor unions, and Jeff and I were lucky to make a lot of new friends, since there were 15 industry representatives there, to share their perspectives on how to make refinery rules at the Air District more effective in all the goals that the Air District has to balance in that, including, of course, community health as a key motivator for all of us here tonight at the CSC. So we went and did intros around the room and shared each of our own goals and perspectives on, what's bringing us to this work there. And understanding too then that the topic for this upcoming meeting, so the one really on everybody's mind, was flaring, refinery flaring. So we were able to hear a lot too about that night about industry's feelings on, as they were calling it, different misconceptions in the public about the negative public impacts of refinery flaring. So we'll hear more about that, I'm sure, on Wednesday, which is our second meeting. So at the second meeting of the Refinery Technical Working Group in just a couple days here, we'll be going over the group's charter, which is emphasizing that it's just an advisory body. There's no decision-making authority there with the body. Ultimately, that all rests with the Air District, but it's a place for conversation and sharing perspectives. This topic will be mostly on flaring, this upcoming one. After that, we will have another meeting on October 29th, and according to the agenda for on Wednesday, that one will be focusing on fence line air monitoring. So kind of going down the list of some of the most important refinery regulations to be updated at the Air District level going forward. And then I'm coming up on time, and that's it there. So I'll pass back to you, Dr. O. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Carrie. So Carrie and Jeff are attending those meetings as our CSC liaisons. Next slide, please. And our Rule 1118, which I think is also BK presenting tonight.
I was not aware of it.
Oh, yeah. Is Lisbeth?
Lisbeth's not here today, so we're hoping you can
Yeah.
cover this too, BK. Thank you.
Okay. So the meeting, July 2nd, 2025, and I'm just going to read straight up from here. The updates were that the last settlement agreement meeting discussed the progress of 1118 implementation, the rules, amendments, and website transparency. And progress updates were shared for Chevron and Chemtrade. And regarding the rules process amendment, it would occur in 2 rounds, focus on transparency and efficiency, and then focusing on the stringency. Various resource materials are now available on the Google Drive for work, for liaison work. And the engagement recommendations were shared, and liaisons are working with staff to implement initial steps. And upcoming meeting, I think I had a date for the upcoming meeting. September the 2nd. No, I'm sorry. That is not the upcoming meeting. So I think it's still to be determined.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much, BK, for stepping in. Next slide, please. And I'll open up to the CSC if they had specific comments, given the report out from the liaisons on our 3 current working groups. Yes, Marisol?
Thank you. My question was for Carrie in particular and your group. Just wanted to better understand the makeup. I know you mentioned labor and industry. Are there any other AB 617 communities represented? Are there any other community voices, residents, environmental justice, CBOs? A part of those conversations? I heard it was definitely labor and industry. I just wanted to see who else was in the room.
Thanks, Sol. Yeah, hearing your question, looking at the charter, which describes the group, well, let me back up. In terms of who attended last meeting, no, there wasn't. In terms of who's on the charter, which is to say who has a seat at the table, it'll be Jeff and I as the 2 CSC representatives. And then in addition to Jeff and I, there will be somebody named Rebecca Barrett. And Rebecca is, I'm pulling up the document here to be sure of the citation here. Rebecca is with the Refinery Corridor Community Group. And then in addition to Jeff, myself, and Rebecca, there will be Fernando Gaitan, an attorney at Earth Justice. So those will be the 4 non-industry, non-labor groups there. Or 4 people, I should say.
Thank you, Carrie. Other comments or questions? Yes, Jeff?
I just would add that it's a very big group. It may have been a little bit overemphasized in the first meeting because some organizations may have sent 2 people. But still, there's between 15 and 20 people, and you can do your own math. If there's 4 community people and there's 15 to 20 people in the room, we've got a significant imbalance. Some of that may be good. It may be really good to really interact with refinery people. I mean, I personally think there's a lot of merit in that, but I was surprised that there weren't more community people. I guess I think that's, an open question.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Yeah, any other comments? The review? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to know why the community groups are not represented. What is the reason?
Thank you. Carissa, I'm not sure who can best answer that question from the Air District today.
I didn't 100% hear. Was the question, why are the community?
Why there are not more community groups or representation on the,
Oh,
like, was
like in
that by
the
design
refinery
or,
technical
yeah.
working group. That's something that I can bring back to rule development. I'm not sure that we have anybody on tonight on that, but that's definitely a question I can raise and we can get an answer to.
Okay, and then they'll get that back to us. Thanks, Derek, for that. Okay, if there are no other hands raised, next slide, please. Any public comments?
I don't see any raised hands from the public comment side, Dr. O.
Thank you, Carissa. Okay, We can move on to the next slide. So I'll pass it on back to Laura to go over year one implementation process reflections.
Thanks. So yeah, as we get close to wrapping up year one, we wanted to take the opportunity to reflect on how implementation has gone so far. First, focusing on the process. Thanks, Dr. Ramachoso, for pointing that out earlier. So I'm going to attempt to give a quick review of some of the different elements influencing the implementation process, just to kind of refresh memories before you go into your breakout activity to reflect together. So Chapter 9 of the Path to Clean Air Plan discusses the approach to implementation and reporting, and it commits the Air District and the CSC to co-develop an annual implementation plan that prioritizes strategies and actions and identifies resource needs in advance of Air District budget planning. And that annual report is to be completed with input from the CSC and made available to the public each year in October, describing progress made on those strategies and actions. Next slide, please. So the year one implementation plan that was finalized back in October 2024, and it does cover the first year of implementation from October 2024 through September 2025. And what it really does is it provides a roadmap for both the Air District and the CSC, identifying and prioritizing actions for year one, describing CSC standing committee and ad hoc and Air District roles, and then outlining communication mechanisms, including reporting. So I'm going to try to walk you through quickly those three. Next slide. Okay, so in terms of identifying and prioritizing actions for year one, we went through a process of prioritizing all the actions for that. There was 55 actions prioritized for implementation. And then from that, there were 16 priority actions for engagement. And you might recall using the spectrum of public participation to select those priority actions for engagement. So inform, consult, involve, or collaborate. And then we have a quick recap here of those 16 that were chosen, with a lot in fuel refining and then 6 others in commercial and industrial, marine and rail, and resourcing the plan. Next slide. All right, in terms of roles, so for the CSC, it's governed by the Charter and Participation Agreement. The CSC also determines the level of participation in action implementation, inform, consult, involve, or collaborate, and how to engage in activities to implement the plan and achieve the goals of the plan, all in alignment with the Path to Clean Air vision and principles. And the CSC also functions to serve as liaisons between the CSC and other community stakeholders and Air District staff. Next, we have CSC leads. So leads share responsibility for developing meeting agendas, facilitation, and membership engagement. They serve as liaisons and guide facilitators of standing committees and ad hoc. They regularly assess participation and accountability and establish feedback mechanisms for keeping everyone informed. Air District staff, we work side by side with the CSC leads and external agencies on implementation, including for the different engagement priorities identified, and we're responsible for CSC meetings, finalizing materials, sharing them, and other communications. Next slide. Then we've also got the standing committees and ad hoc. So standing committees and ad hoc create plans of action covering the purpose, goals, and key strategies to move the plan forward. They have facilitators that are responsible for assisting in development and implementation of those plans of action. And then the Air District supports up to 2 standing committees or ad hoc at a time. So staff work with facilitators and CSC leads to create agendas, decks, minutes, and other materials. And then we have our lovely liaison. So that was newly added as a functional role after we finalized the year 1 implementation plan. And liaisons really work to achieve 2-way communication between the Path to Clean Air and CSC and Air District-led stakeholder working groups so that we can efficiently and effectively advance implementation. Next slide. All right, communication mechanisms to kind of refresh all of our memories. So we have these CSC meetings, right? We have presentations, discussions, and activities. Within those, we have report outs from standing committees, ad hoc, and liaisons. And then we also have the EJ updates that go out right ahead of the CSC meetings. In terms of other communications, we might hear things outside of CSC meetings from either standing committees or ad hoc, or from liaisons regarding the Air District-led stakeholder working groups. And then we have reporting. So with respect to reporting, we have implementation plans, we have the annual report every October, and then we also have an action status tracker and dashboard that's being worked on. Additionally, we have communications about community level implementation, such as around advocacy, education, securing resources, and engagement activities. And then we have the Path to Clean Air webpage. Next slide. Okay, so I'll hand it back to Dr. Omotosho about the breakout discussion activity.
Thank you, Laura, for the overview. Now we're going to get into a breakout activity to kind of discuss and give, reflections on the process of implementation and how that's been this first year. So just want to quickly go over a few things before we do that. Next slide. And so we're going to break into two different groups you'll be assigned to, and the goal is more reflect on the process itself, this past year. And we would like to use the Rose Thorn Board framework in terms of what went well in terms of processes during implementation, what was challenging about it, and what are potential opportunities or areas for growth that we could improve upon in the coming year in terms of the process of how implementation is being carried out based on the plan and the strategies and actions we prioritize for the year. Next slide. Okay, so I think we should be breaking out into two different groups at this point. So you should see it in your screen. Join breakout group room 1 or room 2 based on.
Self.
All right, so welcoming everyone back from the breakout group activity. And so we're going to quickly do a 2-minute report out for each breakout group. So I can go ahead and do it for the group that was facilitated by Marisol. Just go over kind of a key. So in terms of the roles, one thing was we felt like the CSC activities we decided to organize were well done in terms of how the CSC monthly meetings have been run. People appreciated the pre-read material and how it's been structured and felt it allowed them to be more engaged. Also, the idea of how we kind of prioritize strategies and actions using the community engagement model was also great to see. And then the Just Transition workshop, got a lot of praise in terms of how we executed and carried that out. In terms of the buds, using the Just Transition workshop as a framework of how we want to continue to engage with the community was something that kind of came out in the different comments. We had a few thorns to kind of talk about. One was CSC members felt that we should be empowered a little bit more because some people were worried we had mostly more of an advisory role and didn't seem like we were, being involved in the process when it came to impactful decisions being made. And there was also another call for, the communication not being consistent between the CSC and the Air District and how that kind of impacts kind of how the process of carrying out the work. And then the third was for the CSC itself, kind of concern about an unbalanced contribution of members in terms of how much, time and volunteering for standing committee work that members were doing. They felt like some people were doing a lot more than other people. And at the same time, some members felt that they weren't sure how best to participate or volunteer for different activities. So I think that's something that the co-leads are going to take and kind of, look at to see what we can do differently, going into year 2. And I'll pass it on to the second breakout group. I don't know who is going to report out.
I get to report out. They left me hanging. So our roses were similar to what you all discussed, you know, how we're all coming together. Some of the thorns that stuck out for me from our group is the overwhelming amount of information that is received, and it's not necessarily given in biteable chunks, and or we the emails, the way they stack. We definitely need to find a way to help everyone, especially our newer members, see where we're at in our process and help to get everyone acquainted with all the different information that's being received. Other thorns were similarly that you all talked about, but other things were like balancing community centeredness with the CSC and Air District, and some of the buds that we found. Someone suggested that maybe we have because not everyone knows who is who in our meetings in person and virtually. Maybe we have like a list of, as part of a slide, of who's there, who's the Air District from what department, so that people can get to know who's in our meeting. There's a lot of uncertainty of who's who. And then other opportunities of the buds is how to engage other community-based organizations to join in and be part of our monthly meetings or part of what the Air District is doing. So I think I'll leave it from that. We have so much more, but that's kind of an overview of what everyone is feeling. They just need more connection to our discussions and presentations.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Thank you for that report out. Is there any public comment before we move on to our next agenda item?
Doctor, I don't see any raised hands from the public side.
Okay, thank you. Next slide. So we're going to go over the year one action implementation accomplishments. So I'll have Laura introduce Masa.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So, maybe this is one opportunity with that bud here. So you all did get introduced to Mossam back when she joined the Air District as the newest member of our planning team. It's been a couple of months, so I wanted to introduce her again. I've been working with her a lot on the year one annual report. So I can hand it off to Mossam to do this presentation.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you everyone for talking through some of our year one reflections. As Laura mentioned, my name is Mosam. I'm an environmental planner with the Air District, and I've been supporting Path to Clean Air for the past few months. And I'll be talking to you briefly about year one action implementation accomplishments. Next slide, please. So as was mentioned earlier, Path to Clean Air is nearing the end of year one implementation. This means that we're working on an annual report due in October to cover progress made during year one, which will have updates on the status of each action. Among these actions, we're highlighting several key accomplishments for which important progress has been made. And these were shared with you in a pre-read, so hopefully you were able to take a look. For year one, the draft key accomplishments are predominantly Air District and CSC led, but also include important updates from external partner agencies. The goal today is to share these draft key accomplishments with you to capture any feedback in the following discussion and a follow-up survey that the team will share after this meeting. Next slide. So here's a quick overview. First up, we would like to highlight the allocation of $1.3 million to elementary schools in Richmond and San Pablo from the school air filtration program, which is related to Health Action 4.2 that aims to ensure resources for air filtration benefiting vulnerable populations. Next, the resolution of litigation against the Air District over the Health Protective Rule 65 was significant. This outcome will deliver major emissions reductions from Chevron, unprecedented penalties, and a Richmond Area Community Air Quality Fund, among other benefits. This directly supports Fuel Refining Action 5.1 on implementing Rule 65. Next slide. Also highlighted is the targeted inspection program policy, which I'm told you were first introduced to earlier this year and will hear an update on after the break. This is linked to Compliance and Enforcement Action 1.2 on conducting targeted investigation of facilities of concern. In addition, the CSC's establishment of the Just Transition Standing Committee that was just being talked about and their work so far has been an important milestone resulting from Fuel Refining Action 1.1. Next slide. We would also like to highlight the Air District's policy to allocate penalty funds to community benefits with an 80% local to 20% region-wide split. Additionally, the CSC has formed a Community Benefits Standing Committee. And these accomplishments stem from Fuel Refining Action 3.9, though noting the language of Action 3.9 is different from the Air District policy approved by the Board of Directors in May 2024, as was discussed during the June CSC meeting. Next slide. Also successful was the development of the CSC liaison model, particularly in identifying CSC liaisons representing Path to Clean Air that participate in the Air District's Refinery Technical Working Group that focuses on flaring. This is linked to Fuel Refining Action 2.6 that talks about rule development and updates to flaring rules. Next slide. The next two accomplishments are led by external agencies and weren't necessarily identified as priorities for year one, but are worth noting as linked to the plan. First, Contra Costa Health developed a healthy checkout ordinance, which promotes the placement of healthy food at point of sales or counters in retail stores. This is linked to Health Action 3.4, which asks to develop a healthy food retail model ordinance. And second, Contra Costa County committed to piloting a guaranteed basic income program to serve 4 priority groups. This is linked to Health Action 1.1 on promoting and advocating for a guaranteed income pilot for low-income SERP residents. Next slide. So these were our draft key accomplishments for year one, and we're hoping to have you all share your insights on these in the next few minutes. And as I mentioned, a follow-up survey will also be shared for further feedback. This feedback will inform the year one annual report, which will be presented, as Laura mentioned earlier, to the CSC in September and the Air District Board of Directors in October, and it'll be submitted to CARB in that time. And yeah, that's all I had. With that, I will hand it back to Dr. Omotosho for large group discussion.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so the goal is to kind of get your feedback, CSC members, on the first year accomplishments. Could you go on to the next slide just to kind of go over the key questions? And so we want to kind of, discuss, are there any actual accomplishments that are missing from the list that's been presented? And also after you're reading through them, why is this important? The why important section for each one. Do you think any of them that are critical were left out or should be included? And then of the ones that were actually shared, which ones do you feel were most meaningful or important to you as a community member, and why? So I want you to kind of just think about those 3 different questions as we try and discuss over the next 10 minutes or so. And we can stop sharing for a second and see if there are any hands raised among the CSC to provide comments or feedback on what's been presented in terms of accomplishments with the plan in the first year. Yes, Marisol, you may go ahead.
Sorry, it may not be a question that I'm answering here, but I think what's most concerning that I saw that I brought up in the past is that the CSC and Air District in this implementation plan is stating that there were some Contra Costa Pilot Thrives Guaranteed Basic Income programs, and Contra Costa Health developed a healthy checkout ordinance, which I think is extremely beautiful. I think I never knew that those were happening, so it's really difficult for me to share that that's a key accomplishment when it was never presented that these external agencies were doing that work. And maybe some of our CSC members were actively a part of it, but it doesn't seem fair to the people that were organizing that work, showed up to make public comment, that we would have that as part of our plan, even though it did help. So I think moving forward, we may want to create more of a communication line and not just claim work that was happening in the community that was possibly not ours to begin with. And so I think there needs to just be more transparency, more collaboration with public health, with organizations, if they're working on something that's part of our plan.
Thank you, Marisol. Yeah, so it goes back to the fact that, there are some things that we want to be informed about, right? And the idea was to be informed during the process, not kind of just, updated that, oh, this happened kind of thing. And so, yeah, so it'd be nice, at least if you could also note how, maybe it met the actions we had in the plan, but say this actually met the actions as opposed to we led to these actions taking place. Yeah. I'll have Jeff go next.
I guess I'm just curious whether this is simply a happy PR thing, or are we actually trying to say anything substantive or self-critical, or anything about shortcomings, disappointments, or ideas about what we learned, or how we, you know what I mean? This is a very fluffy puff piece. I don't know, maybe that's what management wants. But it's not what I would want if I was reading it. I'd like to know more about what did you learn in the year, and what didn't go well. Was there anything you thought was going to be on this list? Like progress on Rule 1118. There's nothing here. It's a top priority. Who made the decision, that it's like this? I'd like to know that.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, so I think Laura has a hand to respond to that. So the key questions was one, what does the actual report look like? Like, is it just listing accomplishments, or it discusses part of the journey, including the challenges and the process? And then
Yeah.
the 1118, Rule 1118 piece.
Good points. Yeah, thanks. So in September, we will present on like what is in the full report, and you'll kind of see all of those pieces. I definitely hear you about connections with external agencies and like actions in the plan. So I think that a lot of what I'm hearing is things that we can continue to think about and discuss as we move into year 2, right? So as we think about what the implementation plan should have in it, I really see that as an opportunity to build on some of what you talked about in your rose, thorn, bud exercise, right? And see where there's room for improvement. And where, things fell short that we should prioritize for year 2. So year 1 is really a bit more of just like a recap of what happened, what progress has been made, and just getting everyone kind of up to date on where things are at. But definitely want to hear more from all of you as we, move forward and think about year 2 and how to make this, better reflect expectations and all of that.
Thank you, Laura. Just one add-on to that. For the report, do we get a chance to give feedback on the other portions of it? Like you mentioned, lesson learned or whatnot, before it's finally submitted, after September's meeting.
So in the year one annual report, there's not like anything super specific about lessons learned. I think that's something we can discuss in more detail for the year two implementation plan, but you will have a chance to have a discussion after I give a presentation in September and give some feedback on contents of that presentation, which will go to the board of directors and basically covers the year one annual report. Hopefully that answers.
Kind of, yeah, because I think the idea is that how do we make sure the report also portrays whatever challenges we experienced? That's how do we, how is the messaging for that going to be included in it? Yeah.
Okay, we'll take that back. Thank you.
Okay. Nancy and then Suzanne. Before you start, I
Thank you.
think this will be the last two comments we can take here. But like we said, we're also going to send out a survey afterwards so that CSC members that are present and those that couldn't make it could also give feedback on it as well. So be on the lookout.
Great, thank you. I think my question to the year one report out, looking over the slides and everything, is there a section that's going to be the next steps as a continuation of this key accomplishment, right? For example, okay, we had the just transition workshop. So what would year two, is there going to be in year two next steps in that chart or in the report of what's going to be built upon? Because it almost reads like it's one and done, but I know it's not one and done. So is there, Laura, a place to say this is where we're going to be building off of these accomplishments towards XYZ for year two and beyond?
Thank you, Nancy. Laura?
I can
I'll take that
actually,
feedback too. Thanks. Oh, go ahead,
Okay,
Masim.
Masim,
no,
go
I
ahead
was
then.
just gonna say I can help clarify that this is only one section of the report that focuses exclusively on accomplishments. The rest of the report will talk about what's in progress, what's not started, where are we with the rest of the action. So this was a small subset of the overall report. And in the next steps, we do talk about planning for year two implementation and so on. So yeah, you will see more of that in September. Back to you, Dr. O.
Thank you very much, Masim. Okay, we'll take the last comment from Suzanne before we go on a break.
I just wanted to comment regarding the Community Benefits Standing Committee. We didn't really touch on it in detail when we had our share out, but that we're stalled, right? Because of timing and the new person that came in, and there's a lot of things that led up to it, but the standing committee has really not been able to do work, and we're not really engaging as a community with that process at this point. And so I feel like putting it down as an accomplishment, it needs like an asterisk or a little bit more of like, this is something that we've had to push to year two because I feel like we got the money, but in terms of really like having the CSC having any input onto how that money is going to be spent, I have not experienced that. And so I don't see, so that, is it an accomplishment or is this something that we're still really trying to work out? And so just an acknowledgement of how kind of problematic that particular issue has been. I would like to just include that or just put that out there.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. Yeah, I think there are a lot of head nods with that should be more of something in progress rather than an accomplishment for the CSE at this point. So I hope we can make a note of that so it shows up when we do get the report draft. Thank you. I'm doing a time check. It's time for a 10-minute break before we come back and hear about the targeted programming being done by the C&E division. So I believe it's 6:52. So are people fine with the 8-minute break or you want a full 10? I think let's go ahead with the 8-minute break to stay on track, and we'll be back at 7 o'clock to resume with the presentation. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, to the CSC meeting. Thanks for joining us on time. If we could move on to the next slide. Okay, so we're going to be having an update on the targeted inspection program from the Compliance and Enforcement Division. And so I'll be passing it on to Dennis to give us a presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Amatoso. Joseph Palmer here. I know pretty much all of you. Sorry to not see you in person today. We've got a interesting presentation for you. We got the targeted inspection program, and this is part of the Air District's compliance and enforcement team. And Dennis is going to speak to us in some detail on that. Now, I just wanted to lay a little bit of background on it. Back in March, I provided a brief overview of this new approach. And it's an upgrade to how we prioritize which facilities to inspect next. And today I'm really pleased that the co-chairs have invited Dennis to present a little bit more detail than what we went through in March. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Jeff Kilbreth, that back in March, he provided some detailed follow-up for us, and it was a very timely suggestion. And that was added into our review of data, and it related to the toxicity of chemicals that could be released. So this is a super exciting program update, and I just wanted to introduce my colleague Dennis on this.
Thanks, Joseph. Yeah, good evening, everyone. First off, thank you for having me here today. And like Joseph was saying, I'm gonna be giving you all a brief overview of the targeted inspection program and just some of the just highlight some key strategies that we have within this program. So what exactly is the targeted inspection program? Well, I mean, the purpose of this program is really about modernizing and strengthening our current inspection program by taking a more, information and data-driven approach that also incorporates community input to help us better prioritize our inspections. And, by taking this approach, it will help us better pinpoint compliance issues and make sure that our enforcement efforts are more impactful and are used where they are needed the most. Now, I kind of just want to talk about some things that we hope to achieve with this program, so our goals and objectives. And one of the key objectives is to be more transparent when it comes to our routine inspection work. That means sharing more information about complaints in your area, providing more inspection updates on key facilities of interest, and just overall make enforcement information more accessible to the public. So those are some things that we're working on within this program. And we also want to be transparent about how we're expanding and improving our efforts in AB 617 areas and communities and other potentially overburdened communities. And so with this program, we're really trying to take a more informed and targeted approach. We really want to use the data that we have along with the information that we gather from community to really identify problem areas or facilities, and then prioritize our inspections based on that information. Now, community knowledge and community input is going to be a really important aspect of this program, and it's going to be very valuable for this program because that information that we can gather from community will really help highlight gaps that we might not see through traditional means and bring attention to facilities or areas where compliance issues may be going unnoticed. And so it's just bridging that gap that might not be shown clearly in our data. And also some of the other, on this last bullet point here, because we are limited on staffing and resources, we really want to make sure we're being smart about how we use our time, focusing our efforts on the most pressing issues, such as repeat violators and just concerns that are being raised by the public. So we developed some key strategies to really support this approach of just being more efficient and effective, and how we will be prioritizing inspections, which will include things like analyzing compliance history and several other important factors, which I'll walk through a bit more detail on this next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. So now on this slide, I really just want to highlight some of the key strategies that we're going to be using as part of this program and how we're going to be approaching inspections in AB 617 communities. And so one of the main strategies is really to take a more in-depth look at compliance data. So things like notice of violations, complaints, and just look at a facility's overall compliance history. And what we're really looking for when looking at this type of data is really we're looking for patterns of repeat violations or just recurring compliance issues that can sometimes be tied to a specific source or a specific operation type. And so if we're really trying to find those patterns and focusing our efforts at these facilities that might require more oversight. Some other data that we're going to be looking at is complaint data, which is what we get from the public, which is very valuable, and can be a really great source of just trying to figure out what is the issue in particular areas. But the issue with complaint data that we see is that oftentimes complaints that we receive don't specify a particular facility or make it clear where the emission is coming from. And so we really want to take a deeper dive into this data and try to draw more conclusions from everything that we're seeing from particular communities. We want to see if there are certain facilities or areas that are coming up again and again, and just trying to identify patterns through these complaints. That way we can plan more targeted inspections in that particular area or region, or even just have staff go out and do more patrols in these hotspot areas and try to see if they can figure out why it is that we're seeing so many complaints in this particular area or at a particular facility. But we also kind of recognize, compliance data alone isn't enough. And so that's why we're also looking at strengthening collaboration internally and externally, and just working more closely across different teams here at the Air District, such divisions like engineering, meteorology and measurements, assessment, inventory, modeling. They just have there's a lot of information that we could be using from other teams here at the agency. And so by combining our expertise, we're hoping to better identify potential problem areas more effectively by leveraging the data from other departments. And lastly, and most importantly, we know that data by itself alone doesn't tell us the whole story, and it can't really replace the experiences of people who live in these communities every day and see these air quality issues on a day-to-day basis. So a big part of this program is really is about making sure we are listening to the community and incorporating their input into our inspection planning. So pretty much letting us know what the issue is, what they're seeing, and putting that into action. So your insights is really going to help us understand what issues are going to matter the most, and fill in the gaps that our data alone can't really show or tell us evidently. Now that's just a quick highlight of what this program is trying to do and some of the strategies. Those are not all the strategies listed in this PowerPoint slide, but those are just what I wanted to really just kind of point out tonight. And now on the slide here, regards to the project timeline, I kind of just want to highlight, where we're at with this program because it is currently under development. But if you can see here, we're currently, near end of August, about to go into October. And our plan is to really present this program to our board of directors, which is our next step. We're currently in the stage of drafting a policy for this program, which will detail all the strategies that we've developed and what we're going to be having our department implement. By the end of the year, we're hoping to wrap everything up with this programs and then officially launch this program to all AB 617 communities in Q1 of next year. Some things I want to also point out on this slide here is that you see these yellow stars. There are opportunities for everyone here to participate in this development and provide your comment. And so the next opportunity will be at the board of directors when we do that presentation to them. The next opportunity after that would be sometime in end of October or in November when we finally release a draft policy for this program. And so that will be an opportunity for everyone here to really, give us your feedback, give us your comments on what you think of this program and the strategies that are included in there. And so that's the road ahead. We do have a question. It's a really brief presentation because we really want to spend more time, just discussing about why we're here today, which is we came here to really ask you a really crucial question of, what suggestions do you have to include community members in this program beyond those that attend this meeting? Because a big part of this program is really about incorporating community input so we know what the issue is, what you're worried about, where we should be focusing our efforts. But we don't want it to be restricted to just these types of meetings that we have with community, and we want more broader participation. So we're trying to see what your thoughts are on how we can do that and how we can solicit that kind of information from your community.
Thank you very much.
This slide.
Oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead then.
Sorry, this slide was mostly just to give you some ideas of how we thought of soliciting information from community. One thing that we already have is, that's existing that we can probably enhance is the complaint program. We can either host, polls on our website to solicit information from community groups, or just engage with CBOs or NGOs in your area that, are more involved with air quality issues in your community. So those are just some ideas, but that's not something that we're like set in stone of incorporating. So we wanted to really get your feedback on this.
Thank you very much, Dennis. So today is an opportunity for us as CSC to participate, as I mentioned, and we can participate along the process, in terms of when it goes to the board, but also for public comment period. And so the key question is, in terms of what's been presented, how best can they make sure they get communities' voices, So which goes back to one of the big things, our plan is about how do we engage the community so everyone's voice is heard and they're actively engaged in the process of developing and implementing these programs. So if we could move on so we can see if there are any CSC members that have any comments on this. Okay. We have Sean. Please go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering, is there certain places and hotspots like senior centers in certain locations within our area, schools in our area, I don't know, libraries, basically people that talk to a lot of people and, if they notice any area issues in those areas, reaching out to vice principals or, management at senior facilities or community centers, things like that. Is that being reached out to?
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you for
very.
that, Sean. I think those are great suggestions. I don't think currently there are efforts doing that kind of work of getting information from senior centers or from schools at the moment. But we do, the current efforts we have right now are like putting information out on how to reach the Air District at public libraries. That's one way that we've been trying to get information out there. And so I really appreciate your comment, just like and just the feedback that you gave us. So that's something that we can definitely consider doing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, in the comments they also put, parent teachers associations, is another good one that was mentioned in the comments. I'll pass it on to Suzanne.
Hi. As I was looking at this, your complaint program, I think is there a way that you could make it like really accessible, like reaching out to people so they know that there's someone to call, like, give a hoot, don't pollute. We learned about like something so that there's something that's for everyone knows, okay, I smell something to make a complaint, but to open up the mindset, hey, you can, if you smell something, call this number and have it be very simple. If you're looking for that data from the public, to really have a very basic like rollout of what's the complaint line? How do you do it? Is it something that can be kind of cutesy or engaging? And then as you have this thing, it can go to your focus groups, and then you can push out like to the community, the church groups that can be like, hey, did you see, here's our new odor complaint line. But just something that is like very easy for the public to understand and get their teeth into and know like, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do if I smell the smell of rotten eggs or whatever it is, to just on that level. That's my thought.
Yeah, thanks, Susanna. I think those are great suggestions. I think the challenge that we face at the Air District is, yeah, just getting that knowledge out there that we're here to respond to, odors, to anything that you are seeing out in your neighborhood. And I think that's been a challenge, just getting that information out of just like, look, there is a complaint program, there is a number, there is an online website. And so, yeah, that's stuff that we are looking into on how we can do better about that, whether that's more, media presence, promoting on social media, just getting that information out there. So we're definitely looking into stuff like that.
Just want to jump in real fast. These are great
Sorry,
ideas.
just a second. Yes. Is this kind of directly related to it? We're just
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to make sure we have enough time for CSC members.
No, I'm just going to say that I'm making a note, and these are new. Some of these are new things, so this is perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll pass it on to Nancy.
Thank you. Something that I want to bring forth, and I think CSC has put this out to Air District several times, and maybe Dennis, you're the one to help get it rolled out, is Air District coming into community spaces, right? For example, tabling, heading out, connect with the Spare the Air campaign, because you want to spare the air, here's a complaint about what's happening. There are always things happening here in Richmond, San Pablo, North Richmond, community activities where Air District can be out with a table or flyers or informational booth where you all can come to the community. A lot of times where the community is being asked to come into Air District space, and I want to challenge Air District to come into our space. Like Saturday, right here down at East Brothers, there was like a car show. That would have been a perfect place to talk about odors and spare the air and all this stuff. I know there was something else happening a couple weekends ago. There's always something that I think Air District gets to plan into coming into our community spaces to get our feedback and our information. So Dennis, I hope you're the one who gets that moving. You and Joseph.
Thanks, Stacey. Those are really great suggestions, and I would love to see more outreach opportunities, tabling events, having our staff out there, making it known that we're here. So yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thanks. And then Martha, you could go next.
Thank you. I certainly congratulate a focus on complaints, community experience, odors, other irritants, but sorry, aren't there a lot of toxics frequently released that are not associated with an odor, that might not be visible, that might not be detectable to the community? So I feel like I didn't hear much about those kinds of things, and I understand you're talking to a bunch of community people looking for how to do community outreach, but I really just don't want to see this focused on odor complaints. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Martha. I mean, I so with the presentation, I just wanted to highlight some of like the key strategies of like the data that we're looking at. And like not everything was shown on there. So like one of the things that we're also, incorporating in our analysis is, looking at emissions inventory at facilities, looking at toxic emissions, looking at criteria air pollutants. So we're going to be looking at the, all the technical side of things too on the back end, which is like the big key first half of how we're, prioritizing our inspections. And then the second half is going to be, the community input side of things, right? And so that part is going to be crucial too, because, like I mentioned earlier, data is great and all, but it can't really tell us everything, especially if we're not seeing it, if we don't have staff on the ground 24/7 to see what's happening in those areas. But like you said, we are taking into account like the technical side of things of looking at emissions inventory, and incorporating that into our prioritization.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Jeff, you're next.
I put it in my comment in the chat. I wasn't sure that how many people were in line.
Okay.
I think that the tabling at events and stuff is generally important for the air district to have a image of being on its game, engaged in the community. I mean that, and there are a bunch of things we would, I think, logically talk to the public in general about at a table at a festival or at a BART station at rush hour. I mean, that's all very important community awareness. You never know what you're going to get. But I think most people don't really know where an odor is coming from. And as Martha just said, absolutely, a lot of the most dangerous toxics don't smell. So we have no idea. The only reason we know about it is because of the modeling department at Backman. So the bottom line is, I think the big new idea that got surfaced here initially by Marisol is we should talk to the workers. Some of them are in big union shops. Some of them are working for, really scuzzy, individual owners who, will fire them the next day if they get seen. But nevertheless, there are ways, there are smart ways we could think about how to get some discussion going, maybe carefully, maybe easily, with the biggest sources. And I think that would give us a whole new angle on a lot of stuff. The same way talking to local 5 people, for the refinery unions, the refineries is invaluable. We should talk to them a lot.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jeff, for that. And there are other comments also in the chat that are also going to get collated and sent out as well. Any other CSC members have comments?
I just want to add quickly, to Jeff and Martha's, question. So, like I said, one of the other key strategies, is working closely with, our other departments here at the agency. So, meteorology and measurements, they do a lot of the monitoring. So there are plans to do local scale air monitoring, and using that information that we see from that, more localized monitoring to help us guide us where we can target our inspections for. So those are just some examples of how we're going to be, enhancing our interdivisional collaboration and just leveraging the information here at the Ed District to help us be more effective at our and more impactful for these inspections.
Thank you very much, Dennis, for presenting, and thanks everyone for your comments and feedback, both in the chat and also verbally. Could we move on back to the slide deck and see if there are any public comments?
Dr. Matoso, I don't see any hands on the public side.
Okay. Thank you. Next slide, please. And so I want to quickly go over next meeting details. So today's meeting was a hybrid because a majority of CSC members were going to be virtual, and that was an agreement we had made earlier. Hopefully next month we can go back to a hybrid with an in-person participation. So please remember when they send out the calendar invitations to please mark if you're going to be attending, so we can quickly gauge ahead in advance of how the hybrid is going to look like as well. Next slide. So it's going to be on the 22nd of September, 5:30 to 7:30, and hopefully we'll have a hybrid with the in-person at the Richmond Air District headquarters, and the Zoom link will be coming out shortly in the next few days. I wanted to check if there were any public comments on non-agenda items. Carissa?
Oh, I'll quickly go before this, but I'll put a reminder into the chat for anyone that wants to sign the thank you card for Heidi. And I'll also share a link to our 5-minute survey for the draft year 1 key accomplishments. And then lastly, just wanted to remind everyone, and I'll follow up via email as well, but just to enter in your hours for self-reported stipends by this Friday at 5 p.m. And again, I'll send out some reminders throughout the week for that. So I'll pass it back to you, Dr. O.
Thanks for the reminders, Carissa. Any public comments on non-agenda matters? Are there any?
Nope, I don't see any hands on the public side.
Okay, thanks. And so a reminder that we can still send more feedback via surveys, and this will also be sent out in an email so that CSC members that were not present today can also contribute as we review the accomplishments and give feedback on how we want it to be presented. And I think next slide. So I believe we'll wrap up the meeting at 7:28. Thank you all for attending, and thanks for all your insightful comments.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So Carissa, are you sending those
Thank
things
you.
out by email?
Yes, you'll be going out by email as well.
Yeah, not in the chat. We don't have to
Yeah,
copy it now.
yeah.
Yeah, so Laura's going to follow up and send the survey via email, and then I'll send out the reminder emails regarding the stipends.
I'm going to send it
Okay,
now.
good. Good
And
night.
can you send Heidi's thank you card by email also?
Yeah.
Yes, can do that as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you everyone for your feedback.
Thank you.